Hello and welcome to A Day with the Cart Driver as we cast our mind back through the decade and look back at long gone years and try to recall what anime aired then. Can you remember, Day?
Do you remember anime?
Do you remember anime? Do you remember loving?
No, not this season.
No, I'm Scamp and this is Day.
This is A Day with the Cart Driver. This week we're doing Winter 2019, which happened a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
In a galaxy... Never mind.
It was... Yeah, we're already up to 2019. We're up to the current year, or depending on when you listen to this after the fall of civilization. The last year before it all really went to shit. Look, YouTube survived the fall of civilization.
Wait, YouTube? Or U2?
YouTube, because that's where this video is being uploaded as well as other places.
That's fucking awful.
I know.
You know what's going to happen? The aliens are going to show up on the planet and be like, what is left of their traces of this civilization? And then they're going to find YouTube and they're going to just nuke the entire fucking planet.
But then they go, wait, look at this video of this guy dancing to different types of music.
Yeah, but then they'll be like, wait, what is this salute these people are doing?
Oh, yes. This is the Winter 2019 season, not a particularly large season, but there was a couple of small kind of hits here that came out. Some quite happy to talk about, some was going to be a angry conversation about. Not between us, but just angry at the world for letting things like this exist.
Oh, the only thing, actually... See, the problem, of course, is that I didn't finish anything from this season. In fact, I watched almost nothing from this season at all.
You watch anything here?
I watched, but I didn't watch much of any of these. The most that I watched of was the latest iteration of Precure, Star Twinkle Precure, which I watched 5 or 6 episodes of.
It's Day's Precure Minute, which we have every 4 episodes.
I mean, you make it sound like I'm a fan or something. And
you always watch the new one, though.
No, that's not true. It's just been true the past couple of years.
Okay.
Or the past few years. But Star Twinkle Precure, which... It's fine. Yeah. It's just... It seems like I can't do 2 years in a row of Precure. Because it's like, I watch a complete one, it's like, well, that was quite good. And then I just can't keep up the good fight.
The next one comes out and you're like, oh, it's the same again.
Yeah. Well, it's not exactly the same. There's stuff that I liked about it. It's just it didn't really hold my attention. I do dig that it's got the astronomical aspects of it that spoke to my heart as an old fan of Sailor Moon. You know, I liked the designs a lot. I liked that the designs were a fair bit less... How would I put it?
Frilly?
Not frilly, just overly designed.
Yes, that's definitely...
The outfits are a bit simpler, which is nice. The cast is decent. They got their first non-100% ethnically Japanese Precure, which is kind of neat.
Oh yeah, the blonde one.
Yeah.
Skin,
yeah, I can't remember, she's where exactly her father's from. I know he's South American, or maybe he's Latin American. I watched a few episodes of those folks a while ago, so...
all the way back in 2019.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, it can be hard.
Yeah, it didn't hold my attention. The villains were the weak spot. And coming off of the previous season, which was Hugto Precure, which had really good villains, and it handled its villains really well... It was a bit of a letdown to come into this, and it's like, oh, these villains aren't very good, and I don't really care. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it. We'll see.
So the show I watched all the way through, and was definitely my favorite of the season, was the Shonen Jump adaptation, Promised Neverland. Which, this one had been... It was kind of inevitably going to get an anime. It was something of a breakout hit for Shonen Jump. Not traditional Shonen Jump at all. It's
a horror manga.
It's a horror manga. It's more thriller than horror. There's horror elements, and most thrillers have horror elements. But yeah, to call it horror, I think, isn't quite saying what it is. But yeah, it's the Great Escape. It's Chicken Run. It's a bunch of kids with abnormally large chins. Have you seen the size of their chins?
You know, as someone who's seen Gaku and Handsome,
Okay.
I wasn't that impressed. Also, as
Gaku
someone
and
who's...
Handsom's are long and pointy. These are more like their mouths have gone like... Their mouths are where their nose should be.
I've also... Let's see. I've seen a little bit of the original canon adaptation, if we want to talk chins.
Yeah. But see, the problem with...
You don't need to.
Canon is their eyes take up all their face. Whereas this one, the eyes are like normal anime size eyes. But yeah, then their mouths are up here, so then their chin is just everything else.
I like that you're gesturing at your face as if everyone can see.
Everyone, you can see that I'm gesturing towards. Yeah, this is a really good show. I like the characters a lot. It's very well made. It's very well structured. They know how to introduce each new twist that brings new things to the characters, and they have to re-examine why they are doing what they are doing and how they're going to do it and what is important about what they're doing. Like there's this constant battle between them, the characters, of whether they should bring the small kids with them or not. And it's like they will hold us back. They won't understand. Yeah, they'll hold us back. They won't understand what we're doing, and it's just unfair on them to put them through this. I won't spoil what they do, but because there's a second season coming out in 2020, it seems like it's done well. I like it when Shonen Jump does more series like this, the kind of thrillers. I will like the odd shonen battle manga, classic, My Hero Academia, but they're quite samey as much as I admire the inventiveness of the worlds. And the kind of shonen rom-coms, which is the other stuff that always comes up in Jump. Which I think one of these,
Yeah.
No, not Quintessential Quintuplets didn't run in Jump. It ran in the other one, the other main shonen mag, weekly shonen.
Oh.
The one that's run by the other big publishing company.
Yes, because Shonen Jump, I think, instead had the other version of the same story, which is We Never Learn.
Yes. So yeah, I guess we move on from Promised Neverland to the show that has ended up being huge, more the manga, I think, than the show itself.
Yeah, but people, this is the sort of, so it's Quintessential Quintuplets, which the premise is, poor dude gets stuck tutoring 5 sisters who are actually, it's not that they're stupid, they're good in some subjects and not in others, but they also have this, fuck you attitude towards school.
Yeah.
They don't really care. And it's a harem. And this was...
Not especially ecchi.
So, I would put it as, I was actually gonna go with, this seems to have been, the harem show for people who don't like harems, is how I would describe how this is done. Because I know the people I saw who got really into this are people who don't normally dig harem shows. I've
seen plenty of people who've been into it, though, who are into best girl arguments.
Yeah.
Which does, the whole setup is basically...
But again, it wouldn't, I would argue it wouldn't be as big as it's gotten if it wasn't also pulling in people who don't normally consume this kind of content.
My understanding from I don't know if this story is apocryphal or not, but the We Never Learn and the Quintessential Quintuplets authors came up with the idea together and then just wrote it themselves and then just said, okay, now let's write the story ourselves.
I knew that... Because I could have sworn that Quintessential Quintuplets was actually the one that came out second. I didn't realize that the authors had any involvement.
That may be apocryphal, but I like the story. I like the idea that they both had the same, very shonen-friendly story idea. And then decided to write it for the 2 separate biggest shonen mags out there and see which one does better.
Yeah.
The answer being Quintessential Quintuplets did better. And you know why? Girls are cuter.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, it also helps the adaptation was a bit better than the...
Yes.
Without dipping too much into next season's territory, We Never Learn was adapted next season.
Yeah.
It definitely looks cheaper.
Yeah. Quintessential Quintuplets is always getting a sequel as well. I think it's even the winter season that's coming out. I saw one episode. Actually, I don't even know I saw one episode. I read some of the manga. And, it's fine. I might have been into it when I was a teenager. But.
Yeah. I didn't see any of it because it's just... Even with people getting into it who are not normally harem fans, it's... Yeah. I just don't have any patience for harem at this point.
I was going to say, most shonen rom-coms by this stage, I feel like I've grown out of them. You have to do something exceptional to stand out. Which brings us on to our next show.
Man.
The real
This
break.
ran in Shonen Jump.
Didn't it? No, it was a show. It was a manga, because I thought it was a light novel for some reason.
No.
But yeah, it was a shonen manga. Easily the, like, kind of shock breakout hit. Not a shock if you were paying attention to the staff.
Wow. Not a shock. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a shock if you'd known how it was selling in the manga sold.
Yes, it was quite a hit manga. This is Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Hey, mister. This show was really broke out. So it's the same director who did Rakugo Shinju, which we have waxed lyrical about on these podcasts before. Great show. Director's got a real eye for composition and scene structure, and it really came across in this honestly pretty simplistic shonen rom-com. You know, posh school, boy likes girl, girl likes boy, but neither of them can admit to each other because they're too proud of themselves. How is it that you've described it? Two tops? No,
I didn't use that description. Someone else did. I just mentioned it to you. It's like two bottoms who think they're tops fall in love.
Yes. And then the story builds off that. And
it runs in Young Jump.
Young Jump.
So it's the next step up from Shonen Jump.
Oh, yeah.
But it's
halfway
sold
between,
very well.
Halfway between Shonen and Seinen.
Yeah.
Shonen.
Well, technically it's Seinen, but, you're getting... Yeah, anyway.
It's been huge, and the manga sold really well. The manga was selling well anyway, but it got a huge boost from this. They're making more. I thought that... And they've got the pink-haired girl who's fantastic and has that one ending song that everyone went nuts for, and probably still are going nuts for, because I still see people reference it.
Yeah.
Which is great. You should... you should
rotoscoped?
They had someone do the dance, and then... I think it was just reference rather than rotoscoped.
Okay.
But like there's things like the folds in the skirt, you can see they were clearly the folds that were done in the dance. I watched a breakdown of it because it's the weirdly best animated thing you'll see. This highly detailed, goofy dance that she does in an ending song. And the opening is great as well. I've spent a couple of days singing that. You sound delighted at being reminded of my love is war. Love is war. Love is war. Anyway. I sort of not lost interest, but it felt like it ran out of ideas by about episode 5. You know, it then started to become less of a com and more of a rom. And the romance is pretty bland. It's teenagers being stupid. It's just not... It's not an interesting romance. It's funny. It's not romantic. Maybe I'm just not romantic because I'm 29.
Well, also it might just be that at the age of 29, the idea of we're both in love with each other, but we don't want to admit it because we're too cool for that shit is a bit trite.
It's cute and funny, but it's not romantic.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good way to put it.
Or it just seems absurd.
Yeah.
Once you hit a certain age. Or...
Yeah.
Just the idea of people dancing around it and not wanting to admit seems a bit silly past a certain age.
Yeah. And then we should... I'll mention one more show that I like before we get into some bad
Everything else.
Get some bad things. Is Mob Psycho. Season 2 happened. It felt like this was the season that Mob Psycho sort of confirmed its place as, in many anime fans' eyes, as like this modern classic. It's a critic's darling, but it's also broken out as well. You see it mentioned a lot. It's just kind of this like shining example of anime and so on. To be honest, I've actually forgotten a lot of the details that happened in Mob Psycho Season 2. I like the show a lot, but I think I was more on board with Season 1 because they got more at the core. The main character felt weaker in Season 1, so I found it more engaging than in Season 2 when he's kind of already gone through some of his development.
Actually, didn't they change studios for Season 2?
No, you're thinking of One Punch Man.
Okay, I couldn't remember which was which.
Oh, One Punch Man. That's next season. We can talk about the drama that happened around that.
Alright, now we gotta talk about all the garbage. Shield Hero. Oh god, Shield Hero. This did well, sadly. It was part funded by Crunchyroll, sadly.
Yes.
This is just, it's another isekai. What would set it apart is that the misogyny is much more overt than in a lot of other examples of the isekai genre that we've gotten. Goblin Slayer was bad. This is arguably, I think this is worse.
I think this is probably one of the anime that's had a really negative impact just on the overall tone of conversations within Western fandom. Western fandom specifically, because I think that's what I would use it to set it aside from, what's the name of that? Irregular Magic High School, which was bigger in Japan.
Yeah.
Less so in the West.
Although it did decently enough in the West that the light novels have been licensed, not just the mainline ones, but the spin-offs, and
really?
They're all publishing, and they're selling.
Yes, I am aware that it's not been a flop.
But I think why I would say that this is worse than Goblin Slayer is that Goblin Slayer definitely exulted in,
Excess.
Excessive torture of the cast. I mean, someone gets raped to death in the first episode. But I would argue that Shield Hero is worse because it has a more rotten outlook.
At the end of the day, Goblin Slayer is just saying there are creatures on this earth that are evil and must be destroyed.
Which is
replace goblins
great.
with Nazis or something, or demons or whatever.
Well, but also, too, it definitely does have this thing you think it's going to be so fun to adventure. Well, look what happens to you stupid sluts.
Yeah.
However, Shield Hero, it's baked into it that women can't be trusted.
Yes.
Women will lie. They will make up stories about sexual assault to ruin your entire life.
And that's before you then get into the thing that it is probably most known for.
Oh, yeah. God, I haven't even mentioned the slavery apologia.
Slavery apologia, which is... You're wondering how we've gotten to the stage where that is a central component. Because I can almost get the fetishistic side. But when it becomes building the story around why this slavery is okay, rather than just going, it's a fetish thing, get over it. I can understand the fetish get over it part. But building it as a central part of this
and also
supposedly mature story is...
And also, if we're talking fetish stuff, this isn't a fairly mainstream work as far as non-children's anime goes. So this was a fairly mainstream work within that.
Yeah.
So it's not even hey, this is the fetish porno shit that aired at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Of course, it may have aired late at night, but anyway.
It probably did.
My point is, though, this isn't a fetish story. It's no, actually, slavery is okay because, see, she's okay with it. And, and I remember I also got really fed up with people who were hate watching this because it's all you're doing is upping its viewing numbers. You pay a subscription. Where do you think that money's going? If you're watching, it's going to this. And two, the fact that people were tweeting about it and tweeting screen caps of it is just giving it free attention. It's free press.
The part that depressed me in it all was that ultimately Crunchyroll were proven 100% right to go after this.
Well.
Because it was big. It also, for maybe the first time since they went legal, made me resent their existence. Which, just because I follow the Crunchyroll Twitter account and just having them tweet Shield Hero stuff.
Yes, I stopped following the Crunchyroll account when it became more corporatized.
It has.
And so I stopped following because I felt like it wasn't really adding anything to my life.
Yeah. I like it for the news-related stuff, but... Yeah, and I don't like that Shield Hero exists. I wish it didn't exist. I don't think that about a whole lot of anime. I don't think that about Sword Art Online, even though Shield Hero probably doesn't exist without Sword Art Online.
Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with Sword Art Online, and I would never want to watch it myself, but...
I did watch part of Sword Art Online.
I did watch a little bit of Season 2, and I did watch a little bit of... Well, I watched several episodes of Gun Gale Online. Anyway, but Sword Art Online has its own issues. It is not it's not rotten to the core like this is. Some of the stuff about the first season, I feel more sympathetic toward... Now that I've gotten a little bit older and can, I don't know, I can be a little more sympathetic toward...
The wish fulfillment side of it?
Yeah.
The power fantasy?
Well, and the fact that the first story arc is very much about... It's like a power fantasy, but it's also a romance fantasy.
Yeah.
And it's a romance fantasy in a way that...
Isn't toxic?
Not entirely. Yeah, it's...
It's a bit damsel in distressy, but like whatever.
Well, I said the first story arc.
Yeah.
Before it gets like weird and has people licking people in cages.
Yeah.
I can be more sympathetic to that.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like I will never...
I don't think I could ever be sympathetic to Shield Hero.
Yep.
I think it has an absolutely rotten outlook on the world. I think it's preaching a rotten approach to the world.
I do think ultimately, and maybe this is because I've watched all of this other one I'm about to talk about, I do think Irregular at Magic High School is more rotten. I think in terms of what it brings to the world, and it's just a worse existence. I just don't... We've had a bit of time, and also it didn't quite break out like Shield Hero felt like it did.
No.
Anime wasn't as big back then, in 2014 or whenever it came out.
I will also point out that if you're comparing production values, this definitely had much better production values than Can't Poop at Magic High.
The other thing I'll say, so we'll talk about Dr. Stone next season, or no, 2 seasons from now when it comes out, but Crunchyroll put Dr. Stone on their top 25 anime of the decade list.
Oh, are you going to steal my line?
Yes.
So I pointed out to folks who were bitching about, Crunchyroll putting Dr. Stone in the top 25 of their thing. Of course they paid so much for it. Because they were involved with them. They were on the production committee. Yeah. And I've pointed out to folks, if I had to, if Crunchyroll was going to put one of their shows that they invested in on here, I would a zillion times take Dr. Stone over Shield Hero landing on the list.
Yeah. Dr. Stone has a positive message. Amongst other things.
But, alright, so we talked about the real crap. Now we gotta talk about something else that was absolutely atrocious. Whiz.
Oh, gosh. I watched the first episode of this thing.
Why?
Because I didn't know what it was.
Whiz.
What was great was within 5 seconds, they mentioned, what was it they called them?
Handshakers.
They mentioned handshakers in the first 5 seconds, and I'm like, you motherfuckers.
So what's hilarious about this is, the stuff for Whiz, this was Go Hands.
Yes.
So, it's their unique visual approach.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh no, it's a new show, it's completely new. And, all the material coming out of it was like, yep, this is not a sequel. And there's like one person who watched all of Handshakers and is like, motherfuckers, this shit's a sequel. I know it is. I know in my blood. Yes. And then it aired, and it's like, I told you so! I knew it was a sequel. Yeah. So this is a sequel to Handshakers.
I think once I realized it was a sequel to Handshakers, I think I stopped watching it, and that was about 30 seconds in, because it was the ugliest motherfucking shit you've ever seen. But that's Go Hands.
You look at something like K,
yeah,
and I know there are people who couldn't stand the visual approach of K, but K is not, like, actively offensive to your retinas.
Yes.
Whiz and Handshakers are actively troubling.
Yes.
And again, though, Go Hands has made exactly the visual thing they have wanted to have made.
That's it.
This is what they want to make. This is not like, oh crap,
our budget ran out.
One of the animators fell down the stairs, so we didn't finish animating this episode, and we had to have someone's 12-year-old brother help out. This is what Go Hands wants it to look like, and you know what? More power to them, but my god, it's hideous.
Anyway, speaking of artistic visions, this is where we get to talk about the Heimo No Friends director story. We may have even talked about this for the original season.
Yeah, we probably did.
The biggest shock hit of the decade, easily, I think, was Heimo No Friends. Like, what else? This cancelled phone game for this terribly CG animated story about anthropomorphized animals.
Anthropomorphized.
Advertising a educational zoo logical studies thing ended up being this massive hit in Japan out of nowhere. And then they kicked
it helped that it was weird.
Yes, it's weird too. Then they kicked the director off for season 2 with no explanation. Director's like, well, fuck. And the fans were in absolute uproar. Basically calling it the most disgraceful act of...
all time.
Basically.
I mean, it was a pretty scumbag move.
Absolutely scumbag move.
But you know what that meant? It meant the director could then go off and do...
his own thing.
And this was actually... If I'm not mistaken, he did a short for this a while back. And this is... we're talking Kamarikusa, which... all I remember with the director's name is that it's Tatsuki. And because I remember a lot of tweets talking about it. So yeah, he got to do what he wanted to do, and it was take this earlier short of his and expand it into a whole TV series. I have not seen it. You have not seen it.
No.
It was also CG.
Yeah. It was animated in the same style as Kemono Friends. Apparently it did well in Japan. It did better than the Kemono Friends sequel that they aired at the exact same time.
Well, which isn't surprising, is it?
Yeah. Well, it kind of is, because...
I don't know, though, because the fan base got so angry.
You're right, but how often the fan base got angry and then gone and went back to the original thing?
But even... That happens, but I would argue this is one of those cases, though, where it was just on a level that you don't normally see.
True.
It wasn't just a few people being ticked off. It was pretty... I'm not going to say it was pretty much everyone, but it was a very large amount of people who were very vocal about it.
I'm happy. I'm really happy that did happen, because it's power back to the creators rather than the rights holders who then strip their creation away from them.
Yeah.
Good on him, is what I'm saying.
Other stuff. Oh, speaking of sequels, although it's not exactly a sequel, Boogie Pop.
Oh, yeah.
So Boogie Pop Phantom was this anime from the early 2000s that was, I would call it kind of a cult hit in the West. A little bit strange type of... You don't really see shows like that too much now, where it's that urban horror type thing.
Shigofumi. Well,
no.
Hellgirl, maybe.
Closer,
yeah.
Lane.
Oh, yeah.
I think Lane's probably a closer comparison point. Or, anyway, it's not that this sort of show doesn't get made that often anymore, but years later, here we got Boogie Pop Doesn't Laugh, which I'm kind of hesitating to call it a sequel because I haven't seen it, so I don't really...
Have you seen the original?
I have seen the original. Boogie Pop as a franchise is not...
It seems like the kind of thing you should like, because you like urban horror.
Well, yeah, it's... What I'm driving at, though, is that me saying, is it a sequel, is it not, is related to the fact that Boogie Pop as a property is kind of vague about where anything happens.
It's more anthologies, really.
Well, not even anthologies. It's very impenetrable, quite frankly. Boogie Pop, the original that I saw, it's okay, but it's also, I think, needlessly impenetrable. And that's probably why I didn't watch this. Because it was like, I mean, if it had come out like 10 years ago, maybe I would have, but at this point, it's kind of like,
In researching this, I hadn't quite realised how influential the original Boogie Pop light novels were.
Yeah.
To the point that there are people who, like experts in the industry, say it is the first true light novel series. It was what helped the light novel genre and industry as became understood in the future.
See, I'm making this sort of face making that kind of noise, though, because I feel like that claim is made for a lot of different older light novel series.
There was Marinara Friends.
Stop. No, Manaria. Read what you have written.
Every time I read it as yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why you even have this here. Neither one of us watched it.
I'm bringing it up because, first of all, this is part of the Bahamut series, in which I felt so thoroughly burned, despite wanting to like these series. I felt so thoroughly burned that I didn't watch this one, which was about lesbian demon girls.
People liked this. I would put it as like a cult hit.
Small cult.
The cult is pretty small.
It sold like better than anything nearly this year. And I was trying to find out why the hell did this sell so well? Did, Demon Girl Thighs do that well? And then I found out, oh, it's because they had promotional pack-ins for the phone games, not the Rage of Bahamut phone games, but what is the name of that company? Cygames, and they own the biggest phone game of them all. Not Fate, the other one. The one that's... Grand Blue. So there were some Grand Blue promotional things, so that's why it sold so well.
Well, having not watched it myself, I don't think it ever tried to, justify anti-demon Hitler. So, I'm gonna say, from casual observation of people who watched it, it seems like it did the best at not going to shit.
Yes.
Of any of the Rage of Bahamut series. So,
It set out to be a perverted demon lesbian story, and it finished being
I don't think it was particularly perverted. I was under the impression it was a bit on the sweeter side.
I think it was fairly cheesecakey. Not super cheesecakey, but there were thighs, is what I'm saying. Thighs are in, don't you know?
I mean, I was going to point out that thighs are in, all the shows these days. And you know what? I gotta say, for some reason, the obsessive focus on thighs grosses me out in a way that, panty shots never did. And I can't really explain why. I just find the over-focus on underage thighs really creepy and gross.
Compared to the underwear shots?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Anyway... So we actually...
maybe it feels more deliberate.
Oh.
In a way.
I guess. Because they lovingly render the shine on the thighs.
Can we not talk about it? I feel disgusted now.
There was Dororo, which we forgot to mention earlier.
No, it's just Dororo.
Dororo. Dorora.
No, Dororo.
Dororo.
Dororak.
The adaptation of an old... Not Shinkai. Tezuka. Yeah, basically the same people.
Ah, yes. Shinkai,
God of manga.
The one who wrote Kimba.
Shinkai did Lion King.
Shinkai doing Kimba. And it's just oh my god.
Well, I mean, what is it called? Lion King has all that bit with the clouds and the lions, so Shinkai maybe, Anyway, Dororo is an adaptation of an old... Tezuka manga about a kid who loses all of his organs and then becomes a weird robot kid in demon feudal era Japan, and then he goes around and gets all his organs back and travels with a kid who's all hey weird puppet guy, because all his things are made out of wood and stuff, but then he cuts them all with his swords in his hands and stuff. It's very violent. It's very... Edgy is the wrong word. Grim is the right word. That's what I'm looking for. It's very grim. It's a very well-made adaptation. I think the grimness got to me at a certain point and I just stopped watching. But it was a kind of a small hit. It was a critic's darling. It was a small hit. Did well for itself. Done by Mappa, I believe. Who have a good visual style. Am I right in saying Mappa?
I haven't the faintest idea. I did not see this.
Anyway.
I told you I didn't watch anything this season.
Anyway, it did fairly well for itself. I don't have much to say.
Yeah. Actually, it's a lie. I did watch some other stuff this season. By other stuff, I mean porn. So, folks, I think I've mentioned in the past that Magic Bus these days just makes porn.
Yeah.
So, I watched one of those that came out this season. I did not watch the whole thing, though.
Is this Papa Date Shitai?
Yes, this is yaoi.
Okay.
It's really bad. Setting aside the fact that it's got about as much animation as the back of a cereal box.
Yes.
The premise of this is that this single dad who has his kid and he works and he needs someone to look after his kid and also to basically keep after his household tasks because he works. So he hires someone and the guy's like, yep, here I am. Yeah, sure. He does a good job cleaning and shit. And, as these things go, cleaning guy gets horny for him and is like, I must have him. And then, of course, sexually assaults him because, that's yaoi. Totally normal.
Yeah.
It's not even just yaoi.
Yes.
Please.
True.
Don't even do that.
Yes.
A lot of genres do this. And yeah, and then, you know, the next day when the cleaner guy comes around, he's like, oh shit, I went too wild. And he's like, oh, he's probably going to fire me. And the guy's like, I wanted to, but my kid liked you, so I'm not going to fire you. And it's like, wait, what? What? You're going to let a rapist around your child? Like, you know, oh, my kid likes the rapist, therefore I should let the rapist in my home. What? What? No! What the fuck? Yeah, so I didn't watch too much of it.
Okay. I was a little surprised you didn't watch Ren Jie Kota Chen.
I don't remember what this is.
This one, well, this is the one that was a josei manga, kind of very crudely drawn one about a woman talking about being a woman, basically, and all of the hygiene and talking about periods and pubic hair and walking around your house naked and how when your tit itches in public and you gotta scratch it and stuff.
Look, I'm just waiting for the Here Comes Miss P adaptation.
So why I brought this up though, because it wasn't exactly popular or anything. Is,
what?
I know, right? It
wasn't. No one streamed this.
No.
What's wrong with these fucking streaming companies? They get the slavery apologia shit and they won't do this? Man.
The funniest part of this was the good on the directors who, because it was a fairly crudely animated piece as well, the directors put out these making of alongside each episode. And one thing you will notice very quickly when watching these is that it is an all-male people making it.
Huh.
About this very specific story about women, sexual health and all sorts of other stuff. Right? And every episode is them going like, well, none of us have periods, so we didn't know what to do. So we asked our friend, the animator, who is a lady. And then they did this for every single fucking episode.
I feel sorry for that woman.
And it's like, and because I didn't watch this, but I followed some people who were watching it, and just them marveling every week at the seeming, because it seemed like they didn't get it. Yeah. It seemed like they didn't get in their heads that, oh, maybe because every single week they would talk about how they spoke to a woman about how they dealt with this because they didn't know what to do.
You'd think they could have figured out, like, gee, maybe we should hire some women to work on this show.
Exactly. Oh, I mean, they did bring them in as animators for this specific scene. We didn't understand, like, how the boobs would move when you scratch them under them or something like that. And, and it's just this brilliant thing of, like, you had the wherewithal to ask women about these issues and get them, swiftly hire them in to animate them. But then why is the entire directorial staff on this, senior
male.
staff on this male, you idiots? It's a great story of just...
missing the point.
Yeah. Anyway, and that's the last TV series I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we have a few movies to talk about, though, including ones we didn't actually watch.
Yeah.
So we still haven't gotten to the Tanya the Evil movie.
I've heard it's good.
I've heard it's good. I thought the poster was fantastic.
Oh, the one with where she's standing in front of the mural of...
Yes, of her opponent. It's on Crunchyroll, but it's not available for our region.
Yes, that's ultimately been the problem.
So that's why we haven't seen it. Which, yeah.
Tanya the Evil's good, and I'm sure this movie is good.
Yeah, we'll get to it someday. I guess maybe next time we're in a region where we can watch it, we'll watch it.
And you also, I know
I still haven't watched the Love Live Sunshine movie, Over the Rainbow. Part of it is I am pretty sure there still is no English language distribution of this outside of the limited theater run they did. Back in, when was it? February? Yeah, so this ran in U.S. movie theaters on a limited basis, but I don't live in the U.S., so that didn't really do me any good. And it's not streaming anywhere. I don't believe there's a home release either in English. I know the Japanese discs came out a few months ago, but there's no legal way for me to watch this yet. Also, quite frankly, I'm not ready to say goodbye to it, because I did really enjoy Love Live Sunshine, and I'm going to be sad to see the characters go, so that's probably another reason why I haven't gotten around to it, because, if I'm not mistaken, the Region 2 DVD and the Region 2 Blu-ray, they have English subtitles.
Oh.
So I could watch it if I bought it on disc, but I'm not ready for it to be over.
This is what happens when you do a retrospective of something that's from this year.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen it in theater.
Speaking of seeing movies in theater, though.
Oh, wow.
This is where we get the last two. First, very quickly, I watched the Psychopaths, Sinners of the System at the Edinburgh Scotland Loves Anime movie festival, which I've been to a few times in the past, but not for years and years. I saw Redline there back at the start of the decade. But I went back this year in part because they had this. Partly because they had Promare, which we'll talk about next week. But also because the Sinners of the System Psychopaths movies, one is terrible. One is like proper Psychopaths Season 2 terrible. But then the other ones are actually quite good. One of them is Ghost in the Shell Psychopaths. And the other one is Moe Moe Tibetan girl meets the main character. And then stuff happens. It's pretty good.
I feel like you didn't sell that well.
No, we've talked about Psychopaths plenty of times on here. Plus, I need to continue watching more of Season 3, which is airing right now. I've only seen, like, one episode.
Ah.
Yeah. And
what else did you see?
And I saw Code Geass, Lelouch of the Resurrection. I nearly said the wrong name. This was the one where they realized they ended Code Geass without any way to return to the... They had a moneymaker on their hands, but ended it so completely that returning to it to make more money has proven to be difficult. So then they just said, fuck it!
He's alive!
You know that cart driver theory? That guy driving the cart was actually Lelouch the whole time? Yeah, whatever, that's canon now.
You know, it's interesting because I remember you actually were not originally interested in this movie because of that.
Yeah.
Because you felt that it kind of stepped all over what had previously been done.
And ultimately I decided, fuck it. I need to know.
I mean, it's kind of a silly show to begin with.
Yes,
so...
you're absolutely right. And that's, I think, part of the reason why I said fuck it. So yes, he was the cart driver all along. I can shut down that blog now. But...
I guess it's so... Me saying it's a bit of a silly show, it's kind of like how if they changed their mind and made more Symphogear, I would be totally okay with that. I wouldn't be the least bit like, oh, you ruined the ending and what came before by making more of it. I'd be like, oh yeah, give me this shit. And shove popcorn in my face. But
without... The show, the problem is they've tried to make spin-off material, but the show in many ways is Lelouch. And without him, it doesn't work as well, so they just brought him back.
Why don't they just clone him? Oh god, I just had an image in my head.
What?
Instead of Trans Am, it's just him. Like, thousands of him. And it's exactly the same, so it's in space, and it's just thousands of him.
Yes.
Like... gassing? I don't know how the verb would be for that.
The first half of the movie is actually pretty bad because it's all of the Worlds of Sea and all the Gaius stuff, which has always been the worst part of the series. But then they get Lelouch back and he meets everyone and then they form a big plan and involves a lady repeatedly shooting herself in the head to turn back time. It's pretty great. It's ridiculous. It is exactly everything you want from Code Geass. And it's like, oh, go on, you idiots. Fine. This is fun. And that was Code Geass. And that's it for this season.
So, are they going to conclude the franchise?
No.
No. Let me finish what I was saying. Will they conclude the franchise with the title Lelouch of the Resolution?
And that is it for David the Character.
Wow, you didn't even entertain me.
I could end with Jibun Wo.
But that wasn't even in the movie, was it?
No, I don't think it was. Actually, was it? No, I don't think it was. I'd remember that.
So I think I know where you're ending with.
Mr.
Love is war.
Love is war. Love is war.
Mr. Oh, Mr. 知らされるほど切ない二人だけの危ないゲーム Love is war. Love is war. Love is war.